we go. So everybody should be able to hear me clearly now. Am I right? We're good to go? Yes. Awesome. Okay. Very good. Thank you all for being here. Very ironic that I named this whole thing, the intelligent way to outreach to influencers, and then I proved my lack of intelligence on running a webinar. So, yeah, bear with me. I know how to find influencers. I know how to close. The technical stuff I'm still working on. So we are going to get started. That voice you hear in the background happens to be my son. He's helping me out with some tech stuff at the computer while I'm out here working. So here we go. Let's get started. Look, the majority of the problem that I hear from most closers is finding that first influencer or upgrading to bigger and better influencers later on. So that's what I want to cover today. I want to show you guys the simple 3 steps that I have used over and over again to land influencer after influencer as I have leveled up and as I have grown, even to the point that I was gaining influencers while I was still closing for a team, and I was passing them on to other people because I was too busy to take them. You can have influencers coming to you and wanting to talk, not just getting blown off, not getting your messages ignored, but to outreach, have a good conversation. So let's get started, and let's go into, out of the 3 steps, number 1, and that's going to be study. You've got to do your study on the influencers. Now, those of you who've worked with me much before, you already know I talk big about this one. You need to stalk these influencers on their social media, okay? I mean, just stalk them, be everywhere. Make them know your name, but do so in an intelligent, not spammy way, right? Watch their YouTube videos and make a comment that's more than 2 words, but not obvious that you're trying to show off as a closer. Talk about them, talk about the content, talk about one of your favorite takeaways from that particular video, and make your comment there. You'll see that they'll comment back. When you're actually having a conversation that way, they will talk to you. They'll get to know who you are if you do this consistently over a couple of days. It doesn't take long. When people post more than just a sentence or more than just a couple of words, these influencers take notice, right? And almost all of them do. Now, of course, you got your limitations. If you go after somebody huge, they probably got an assistant that's going through and doing that. But consistency, they'll start to know who you are. Know their program. Know what they do. Know who they're talking to. In my course that I'm teaching, I am helping people to learn how to find out whether through the videos, through the webinars, whether or not they're focusing on the right clients or not, on the right type of people. And you can tell who it is that they're talking to. Get to know these things. So when you do get the chance to talk to them, you're going to have some information to be able to go with that you know what's going on. Find them on all their social medias, like their posts, follow them, share some of your favorite ones. Give them some reason to see that you actually care about what they're doing. See, here's the biggest problem. Joey Rich, he made a post about it today in his group about how one of the bigger problems with closers reaching out to influencers is we're so hungry to want to get that job closing that we completely forget about what we understand as closers, and we start being salesmen instead. We start being salespeople, and we start just blah, here's what I'm doing, here's what I can do for you, here's how much more I can do. Totally blowing people away. You've got to slow down. Do your study. Find out where it is that they are hanging out. Where are their audience hanging out? What's something you like about what they're doing? Show your passion for them. If you get your name known to them before you ever message them, you've got a much better chance of them actually answering and looking over that message in the first place. And I'm telling you, I have had conversations with Dan Henry, with Kevin David, where, I mean, it was them talking or it was a dang good assistant that knew how to act like them really darn well. just because of this method, that I have posted so much with their social medias that they recognize the name and they will talk with you. But if you don't do the study and you just come across as, hey, I'm a salesman, hey, I can do this, hey, I can't, focus is all wrong. Okay, stop focusing on I, right? You want the focus to be on them the whole time. That's where you need to be talking. Talk about them. Talk about their program. Talking about what they're doing. Find out, what plans do they have? Are they starting something new? When you get them to talk to you, talk about them. When you're making your posts, when you're making comments, talk about them. Tag them in a post that you write specifically about how they inspired you to happen to write that post for whatever purpose. Man, you're going to get attention by them. When you can list off specifics about something you heard in a video, something specific that they said, when you can list off, specific quotes of theirs that they've made in posts, I promise you, they're going to start recognizing that. They're going to start seeing you. You make your name known to them, then when you shoot out a message to them, they're more apt to respond to it because you're an avid fan at that point. We tell the influencer that we can help their prospects become avid fans, to become beloved customers. And yet we can't show them that we know how to do that, to get them to see us as that avid fan. You see that? How is it you're going to close somebody and show them how much they should put into this particular person or program when you can't show the influencer that you can put that much into it as well? They pay attention to these kinds of things. These guys aren't dumb, especially if you're shooting for, 2 Comma Club members and up. You're going to need something serious. Now, of course, ad agencies, man, they're a dime a dozen. We all know that. Somebody brand new who's never closed anything other than a door can get on with an ad agency. That's just the truth. That's the way it is. There are so many of them out there. And if you don't mind cold calling, you can do some good work with those. You can make a lot of money doing cold calling for ad agencies. But get your study down. Pick your niche, right? Pick your niche. That is something that so many people do not do, is they don't find out their own niche that they've got some sort of passion about. If you don't know what it is that you want to close for, if you don't know what it is that you believe in and that you can have some sort of passion in, you are going to have a very hard time showing an influencer that you have any passion for anything at all. And if you can't show them that you've got passion for what they're doing, they're not going to trust you to be able to help their clients have passion in what they're doing. Is this making sense? I hope so. If you haven't selected a specific niche yet to close for, do so. Find it. If you can't seem to find a specific niche when it comes to whether it's courses, whether it's mindset, whether it's an ad agency, whether it's whatever, go with an ad agency when you're new just to get started. But pick an ad agency that is specifically focusing a target business group that you know something about or that you do have a passion for, whether it be real estate or brick and mortar businesses or specifically online courses or e-com, whatever it is. Find somebody that's doing something connected to something you know something about, something you've got a passion for. If you can't believe in what you're doing and you can't believe in what the influencer is doing, how are you going to convince somebody else to believe in them? It's no different than what most of us were taught when we were learning to be closers. You got to be able to close yourself. If you're not closed on closing, you're not going to be able to close someone else. If you can't dig in to your own pain and allow somebody to take you there and feel what that feels like from the backside, you're not going to be able to do it for others. This is no different. If you don't have a passion or a belief for what you're doing, you're going to have a really hard time helping others to see it. Or if you do, you're going to feel guilty about it because you don't really believe in it yourself. I've had many closers come to me and say, hey, you know what? I had this, I was working with these guys, and I couldn't keep selling it because I didn't think, I felt like I was ripping people off. I felt like I was scamming people into believing in something that I don't believe in. I can't do it anymore. So the only way to solve that is to know your niche. Know your niche and stick with it. So do your study, keep your focus on the influencer, and know the niche that you care about and what you want to have passion for selling, for sharing, for getting out there to the world. Now, you're going to hear me say a few things tonight that as closers, we've been told not to say, such as selling to a customer, right? Okay. But we all understand it. Okay. Selling is what we do.
Joseph McPherson says, how about music?
Yeah.
Timbaland has a course for teaching music production, but Timbaland is an influencer that definitely has a whole ton of gatekeepers.
There you go. Of course. Oh, of course he does. I'm sure of that. But if he's got courses, he's got salespeople. So one way or the other, getting your way and working your way through it and showing the passion for it and fighting for it and keeping on with those influencers. And look, anybody can get through a brick wall, even with a spoon, if you've got the determination to get it done. You can dig at it little by little, chipping and chipping. This is what it takes sometimes to hit some of these big name influencers. Absolutely. We're talking well beyond even the Two Comma Club with a name like that. And it just takes time. It takes passion. It takes the drive to want to do it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about drive and about passion later as well. But this here, you know, if you've got an interest for music, there are lower level people that are teaching, you know, courses on production or advertising for music agents or, you know, whatever it is that you can get started with while you're chipping away at that brick wall, right? So don't let anything hold you back. If you decide it's what you want, go get it. All right, we're going to talk about the fear and things that people hold back on later too. But do your study, folks. You know how many closers, they send me copies and pictures of their messages on the phone and say, hey, this is what I sent. Can you tell me what I did wrong? Can you tell me if this is okay or not? And the message is, hey, I saw your YouTube video. You're great. I'd like to close for you. Are you looking? Now, what's sad is that some of you out there are probably laughing right now thinking, God, why would they send something that stupid? Well, I get that. But then when you get in the heat of the conversation, you get in the heat of the moment, a lot of us can turn into that. I've done it. When I was newer, you know, start off the conversation right. Now, that's definitely not starting off the conversation right. But I've started it off right, got to a point where somebody mentioned, you know, what do you do? And I turned into, you know, Billy Mays right there. Let's sell him. But wait, there's more. You know, just going on with everything I would do for them. We've done it. As salespeople, it's in us to want to do, especially somebody like me who was in sales before working in the online space. Feature benefit was what I was taught. That's what I did. When I'm sitting in front of you and we're talking about what this is going to do and how it's going to help you and how it's going to work for you, that's a completely different conversation than talking to somebody through a chat, talking to somebody just on the phone. You're not right in front of them to show them things. So I've had to learn a lot of this myself. I have learned damn near all of this the hard way. And for those that knew me back when I got started, you know where I was then, who I was, how things were compared to everything that I'm putting together now and how much I've grown into where I'm at. And it's all because I was taking notes of what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong, what other people were doing that was different than what I was. And if something they did worked, I was watching it. Now, what can I do? And I've been able to combine a bunch of the things that other people have said to use into what I now use today. And I'm telling you guys, I can start off cold. I could start off tomorrow, start digging through influencers that I've never reached out to, and I'll put money on it says I could get at least 2 of them on the phone within a day. I've done it before. I've proven it. My first 2 weeks at Live Rich, I closed 3 new closers. because they helped me to find one of the missing pieces. And that missing piece was ass kissing. You know, let's just be honest. It's what it is. When you get into those first couple of messages, you make it about them. You make it about what they are doing. Now, also, those of you who know me know that I'm very straightforward, to the point when it comes to this stuff. I'm not going to, pussyfoot around. I'm not going to go around the bushes about anything. I'm going to let you know this is where we're at. And so, yeah, talking about them. You're going to do a little bit of butt kissing. That's it. I like what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing. I think what you're doing is awesome. I want to help you spread it out to more people. I'd love to work with you. Right there's a template for a good first message that works, produces. I can show you. It makes sense. You keep it about them. Okay? Always keep it about them. Because that is what's going to get them to pay attention to you. When you talk about me, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can help you get to here, I can help you get to here. They're thinking, man, I got to where I'm at right now without you. Why do you think you can do better? That's the kind of vibe that you're putting out at that point. You're coming across as way too arrogant. Now that is a big, big problem with new closers. In some of the places that we've learned, we've been told to put off this air of arrogance, to put off this air of, I have what you need. Not a good way to do it. I actually find it quite comical that the same place that we were told that, and to have that level of arrogance about, I've got what you need, do you want it or not, is also the one that put it in what it really is. You're partners with these influencers. It's equality. It's not one over the other. He's not better than you. She's not better than you. You're not better than them. It's equality and understanding that. And when you come at them talking about you and not them, talking about what you can do for them, you're trying to say, I'm better than you. I know more than you. Look, they got to where they're at right now because they could sell their own product. They know that. They don't need you. They don't. They will benefit by having you to be able to scale faster when there's more people that can continue bringing in, new clients and customers and students than they can do alone. Absolutely. They do need more people in order to scale, for sure. And they know that. But when you come across too arrogant and you come across making it about yourself, they don't have to have you. They don't need you. They have gotten to where they're at. This is not the, I'm the one carrying a briefcase of money. Do you want it or not? That's not the way it is out here. It's not in the real world. It's what we were asked to believe. It's what some people still follow. And a lot of the people that still follow that a lot of people think are hotshot closers, have never even closed an actual sale before. I've never actually worked with an influencer before. Not one. And yet, because of the posts they make, because of the arrogance, because of the show they put on, people think they know what they're doing. They've never been on a damn call to know. So that leads me to my next point after studying. Keep it about them. Know your niche. If you've never closed a sale, quit calling yourself a closer. Okay, I'm sorry. I know that a lot of people aren't going to like that. But I'm telling you, you got to quit putting on here, you are a high ticket closer when you've never closed a damn thing. Because when they ask about your experience, you're stuck. You are flat stuck. If you've come across, as I am this closer, as I am, and I'm great at this, and I can do this, and then they ask you, okay, well, what have you closed before? And you can't give them an answer of what you've closed before, you've got to feed them some sort of redirect, or you've got to admit, I don't have experience, but give me a shot and let me show you, which is okay. It's great to do. But not when you've already pinned yourself up as, I am a high ticket closer. You're not if you've never closed. I'm sorry. I don't mean that to be wrong or rude, but literally, logically, if you think about it, you're not yet. You haven't actually closed a sale. That's something that you've got to be able to keep in mind. So you know, here, be honest. Be honest with who you are, with what you can do. You've got to. Yes, it's obvious I don't use whiteboards very often. I'm all over the damn place here, and I'm sorry for that. But this is important. This is where a lot of the arrogance washes off. When you start being honest, when you fix the conversation or the profile or the way things are set to say, you know, closer in training, or to just say, you know, phone sales or self-employed, whatever you want to put it. But when you say, I am a closer, and they say, how much experience do you have? You're done. Now, what I'm about to say right here may make a lot of people mad. Some of you already know it. Some of you will probably laugh about it. But the majority of you, if you understand the truth of it, if you will stop with the pre-made paradigms that you already have in your mind of what must be and start looking at the successful people around you and what they're doing. This line of which would you prefer, experience or results, is one of the most laughable and ridiculous things I have ever heard in my life. I laughed at it the first day I heard it. That wasn't a, ooh, that's such a good line thought for me in any way. I saw a lot of people that like, wow, that's so magic. That's amazing. No. One second, and I'll get to the question. Yeah. So you don't want to use something like that unless you've got just some fantastic off the dang wall rapport with somebody. Because let me tell you the honest truth of it, you can't have results without experience. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. Do you want experience or results? How did you ever get results, or how can you say you're going to when you have no experience to back that up? It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Joseph McPherson says, how about when that confidence drops after admitting to the honesty that you have not closed anything before?
Right. Okay. So whose confidence are we talking? Yours or theirs? That's going to be the first question. Because see, if your confidence drops from being honest, that's a problem. That's something that you need to work on before you get on the phone. Your confidence shouldn't drop from being honest. Your confidence should stay right where it's at. Look, you know, I have not had a lot of experience with this. I have not ever, you know, done this live. I've had extensive training. I have hours of role play. I can send you recordings of some of the role plays. I can sit and do a role play with you right now here on the phone and show you what I can do. If you're worried about their confidence in you, it's the exact same way around. They're going to respect you more for being honest with it than they will if you tried to turn into something that you weren't. You realize this is why some influencers out there, some 2 Comma Club and up influencers, I can list 3 right now, that refuse to use closers from certain places because they've been burnt so many times by fast talking, but couldn't actually perform. So, yeah.
And then one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Denver says, what's an acceptable experience? Sales job?
Yes.
Close to your own previous business?
Absolutely. Anything in sales. Anything in sales. If you're doing face-to-face sales, door-to-door sales, you know, in fact, a lot of face-to-face sales, if you've been in, you know, some sort of selling situation before, they would prefer that. Here's an example. I was talking to a group that most of you would know if I said it, that they run a team of closers. And I was talking with them about possibly getting on with them. And they set up the interview. I sat and I talked to them for a bit. And I led with, I've been in sales for, you know, almost 8 years. I've had sales experience, door to door, face to face, you know, all of this. And then I went through training and I got to where I'm at now. So I've closed, you know, off and on for an ad agency as well. I'm ready to bump up. they continued talking with me for a few minutes, and then I let them know, look, how many more are you looking for? I got a couple of friends that are good. In fact, one of them I would dare to say is better than me. And, they're looking as well. And so I invited that person into the chat with their permission to speak with them about it. They went and looked over their profile, came back and said, no, 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 you're announcing this other group and we don't work with those people anymore. We're done. I'm like, wait a minute. I, have trained in the same places before. What's the deal? Well, yeah, but you've got all of this sales experience before and you came at us in that way. They completely shut down the other people that were better than me. They could have done more simply because they got burnt so bad by the people who claimed to be closers, knew what they were doing, and weren't honest about what they could do. So any type of sales experience at all is going to be helpful. Use that for experience. Absolutely. No, I haven't closed over the phone, but what I have done is, and here's how long I've done so and what I was able to do with it. That's perfectly fine. Honesty is going to be the key. Now, look, just when you're first starting off, getting much beyond a 2 comma club, that's going to be difficult. You may not get it done, especially with no experience, because yes, you get up to, people who have hit that 8-figure award and higher. They want people that they can trust to not burn their money on leads and actually produce higher level results because they've been doing it for a bit. You got to start someplace though. So if you're waiting for your very first influencer ever to work with online to be that unicorn, you might be waiting for a long while and you may want to rethink your strategy. The question then comes down to, do you want to close and work from home or do you want to dream? Which do you want to do? I chose to close and work from home. So I went with an ad agency where all I was doing, my first work online job back in April, was appointment setting. Well, no, my very first one was cold calling, just doing straight cold calls for dental offices to sell Facebook ads. Then I bumped up to appointment setting when, somebody had already expressed interest. They wanted to talk about it. I would just do a qualifier to see if this is really something they wanted to do, make sure they had a budget for it, and then set the appointment for the owner of the agency that I was working for. So rethink where you want to be. How do you want to get there? Yeah.
Joseph McPherson said, what if you have been part of a network marketing team that you couldn't follow their leaders and their system of selling?
Well, if you're not overly successful with it, I wouldn't use that as, too much of a experience holder or anything to show off. Because if you tell them, well, I worked with this place for, this long, and they say, okay, well, how'd you do there? Well, I didn't do very well because their leadership was crap. Now all the influencers thinking is, well, if you didn't do well there and you're blaming somebody else, are you just going to blame me and my leads instead of getting sales, right? It's going to be where their mind's at. I'd leave that part out for now until you either build success in it or, don't talk about that particular experience. So yeah, guys, study. Keep the conversation about them. Know the influencer. Know them. Track them. Talk about them when you get to it. Find a niche that you want to work with so you've got some passion about it. And stay honest. Once you get to the conversation, stay honest. That's going to be an important one. So let me get this wiped off and we'll move on to step 2 here. Now, step 2, this is where it starts to get fun because now we're going to start talking to people, right? Now we're going to actually start with the conversation. And this, I'm going to give a little template of my own that I use. So step 2 here, this one here, you want to respond. Not react. You want to respond to them when they message back, not react. So again, going back to that jump, that conversation, you message the influencer. And look, folks, here's a very, very simple template for messaging the influencer first message. Type it, do not send a video. I know in some places we were shown initially to send video messages to influencers, which is perfectly okay to do after you've chatted for a minute. Don't do it the first time because they're not going to sit and watch a video from somebody they don't know. Have a conversation first. So template, real simple for reaching out to the influencer first time that almost always gets a response. Henry, if you're in here, you can attest to this because I know you've used it a couple of times just this week alone or last week, and I know that it's worked. What?
Do you want me to type it into the chat?
To touch my, there we go. Sorry about that. So the template, it should go something along the lines of, and you know, you're going to have to just put like in parentheses and some dots for parts of this.
Okay.
It needs to say, hello, hey, you know, something, Mr. Influencer. I loved what you had to say about, and put something in there that you honestly read, that you saw of theirs. Show them reality. Show them you're paying attention. Hey, Mr. Influencer, I loved when you said, or, you know, I love when, you know, I read when you posted, whichever it is. Give an example of exactly what there was, and then say something along the lines of, you know, it looks to me like you're growing, you're getting bigger. I would love to help you spread your message. It'd be great if I could work with you one day. That's it. That is literally it. You do a little butt kissery. You show them, I love what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing. I loved it when you said this. This is what I took from it. I'd love to help you spread your message. It'd be great if I could work with you one day. That's it. Don't mention closing. Don't mention sales. Don't mention leads. None of it. I would love to work with you one day. That's it. You need to mute. Okay. So when they respond to that message, sometimes they just say, thank you, nothing more. Sometimes they'll ask, hey, that's cool. What do you do? Now here, now, okay, let's back up for a second. If they just say thank you, that's all right. Don't get too upset or too, you know, crestfallen because they didn't ask what you were doing yet. They say thank you, then send a response back. Hey man, no problem. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. What new things do you have coming up this year? What's your next big program? You know, how long have you been doing this, that, or the other? I can't find an exact date. Something to get them talking about them. Keep the focus on them. Respond. Think about what you're saying. Respond to them. Don't just react. Ooh, they talked to me. I can close. I want to do this. I want to do, and just go out and puke on them. Don't do it. Don't go full-blown Billy Mays on them just because they ask you what you're doing. Keep it about them. Now, this template I use here, I have to give credit to Desmond Soon for, because this is exactly what he has spoke of in dealing with upfront, face-to-face influencer conversations. This is how you handle it on the chat. When they ask you, what do you do? You say, oh, I'm a closer. So how long have you been doing? So what's your new program? So when are you coming out with something new? So what's the big plan for this year? Turn it right back on them. Make it small. It's not about you. Blow off what you do. Belittle it. Make it small. This is, I just do this. What are you doing? Because what you're doing is important. Show them you've got a passion for what they are doing. Give them a reason to want you on their team because you believe in what they're doing so strongly that it glows through the damn messages. You get the difference here? Respond, not react, right? Respond is good. Don't react. Not worth it. If you react, you get all excited about it because they spoke with you, you're going to end up going wrong about it. Just, I mean, if any of you have younger siblings, think about the way that was back then with the younger sibling. Oh, I want to go with you. I want to do what you're doing, right? Annoying as crap. They were excited about it. They wanted to be, but it went about it all the wrong way. Yes.
Alexander Blanco says light bulb, almost like applying for an actual job. It's like an actual interview, but through chat.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's the way it should be, right there. Now, the only difference, or the biggest difference that's going to come in is once you get on the call. We'll go over that part here in a minute. Once you get on the call, it shifts a little bit.
Joseph McPherson says, what if they don't believe in what they are doing strongly, even though they have a great ambition?
Well, if they don't believe in what they're doing strongly enough, they're not going to last for long. That's just the truth. Anybody who doesn't have a great passion for what they're doing and they're just after it for the money, for ambition, they will fall. That's been proven over and over and over again. I can think of people that were real big back in the day. Some of the original gurus that were teaching their proven systems on how to make money. And because they didn't fully believe in what they were doing, they were trying to tell people to just repeat after them too. But they hadn't actually done it yet. It falls apart. It breaks. They won't last. Thank you. So yeah, if they don't believe in what they're doing and you can tell that, I wouldn't even continue the conversation much longer. As soon as you get that that's where they're at, step away. Unless, all right, so now we're overstepping the bounds of where I had hoped to go here, but just if this influencer does not have a passion truly for what they're doing, but they've got the ambition to grow, and you truly have a real ambition for what they're doing, you can work that into a greater relationship if you want it bad enough. You can slowly turn it to where all they are pretty much is a face anymore, and you are the one taking care of the business itself. You can get a higher level of the commissions at that point because you're doing the majority of the work. That there's a lot of responsibility to that. You're talking about essentially becoming an influencer yourself and growing into that spot, but it can be done. They've already got the foundation laid. They're slowly building into what they are, but they really don't have that drive for what they're doing. You can take over that particular portion of it, let them work on something else that they do have a passion of while they're building that foundation, and now you get to grow right along beside them. So yeah, we can chat more about that kind of thing outside of here on how to have those kinds of conversations, but definitely possible. So when you respond to these influencers, you want to keep the conversation light. While you're in chat, you want to keep the conversation light and pushing towards them. Now, if you blow off and just say, I'm a closer, what are you doing? How are you going? What are you going? That's going to be completely different than what the majority of people do. Majority of people, when they're asked, what do you do? They unload a freaking paragraph of how great they are. Be different. Stand out. This is how. You know, when you're making quality content posts on your social media to get the attention that you want, to have people see that you do know what you're talking about and you've had some training at bare minimum to be able to even have that conversation. And then you respond with, yeah, what I do is not a big deal. Where are you? What are you doing? What's next? And you come at them that way, completely different. Now you've got a little bit of trust. The confident person that knows what they're doing doesn't have to go shouting about it. They just know they can and they do. right? You don't see me making posts in my Facebook groups. You don't see me making posts out on public about what I can do, how great I am. Look at me, look at me, look at me. I don't do it. I'm providing value. I'm providing mindset tips. I'm asking questions just to feel the temperature of the people that I'm connected to. I don't have to go out and announce what I can do. The people that I close for know it. The people that have been on teams with me and have seen the records of what I can do know it. I don't have to announce it. When you've got that kind of confidence in what you do, you don't have to announce it. Influencers know that. They're people too. They can feel it. They know when they're out at a conference, they don't have to stand up and, ooh, look at my trophy. Look at me, look at me. Because they know they got money coming in. They're doing their thing. It's great. They'll get up and they'll give a talk. And when they do, they're talking about what you can do and how you can do better and how you can follow something they've done to get there. They're teaching how to get to where they're at. That's what they do at these conferences. I mean, if you've been to Funnel Hacker Live or, any of these other, the 10X thing that Cardone puts on, if you've been to any of those, these people are getting up and they're giving value. It's pretty much a big mastermind group on stage where they are teaching other people bits and pieces of what they do and why you should trust them to show you. They're not up there pointing out how great they are the whole time. Don't do the same thing. When you just say, hey, this is what I am. I'm a closer. This is what I do. But what do you do? What's your next thing? How big is this coming? You put yourself in a whole new field now. They think, wow, this guy's not going off like the rest of these people who've called themselves closers do. He didn't tell me how much he can increase my close rates or how much more revenue he can make me. He's asking about me. That's going to make a difference. I promise you, when you start to respond instead of react, you're going to see a big difference in how far you go with the conversation. And it's at that point you're able to start talking about getting on a call.
Denver says, what are some of the questions to continue the conversation?
Asking about, again, I know I've said this one a lot, if they've got any bigger plans for the year. How do they plan to expand? Are they coming out with a new program, or are they just going to, sit with what has been their bread and butter the whole time? Ask them how the business is growing, if it's still going strong, if they're looking to expand into anything. You want to talk about how much bigger do you want to be? How much greater are you going to go after? That's the kind of stuff you want to know. You want to find out all sorts of things. Hey, are you going to keep up with your YouTube channel? If they've got one and you follow it. If you've only got them on YouTube and LinkedIn or Facebook and LinkedIn, ask, hey, do you have a YouTube channel? I haven't looked. Do you have an Instagram? Maybe I need to follow you there too. Anything to show that your focus is on them and what they are doing. Keep the conversation there.
Joseph McPherson says, where are they and where do they want to be?
Right. That's exactly the information you want to know. Where are they now? Where do they want to be? Where are they going? How are they getting there? This keeps the conversation flowing in a manner that keeps the spotlight on them. And we all know people like to talk about themselves. You start asking the right questions, man, people will start talking. When you hit that point that they really, this is what I'm excited about, they will go. And that's when you can say, hey, you know what, that's awesome. I would love to help you spread that message and to grow. And you can remind them again, I'd like to work with you one day. I'd like to be a part of that. You sound like you've got a great plan. I love what you're doing. I've got a passion for, this particular genre or niche, or I really believe in what you've done because of, where you've gotten to, and I look up to that, and then now after you've already said, I'm a closer, and went on talking about them, couple more volleys, you've had a bit of a conversation, then you might be able to throw out, man, if I ever had the chance to close for you, I'd love to take it. You let me know if you start looking. Now it's just part of the chat. It's just part of the role. It's not, hey, look at me, look what I can do, look at how much I can increase. Now it's just, man, dude, I love what you're doing. I hope you can see from the conversation we've had, I'm not trying to pitch you, I'm not trying to sell you. I want you to know I believe in what you're doing. If I ever had the chance to do it, man, you let me know, I'll be there. And you leave it that nonchalant as you just toss it out and then keep going with the conversation. As soon as they bite, and they're thinking, you know, say something about, well, I have been thinking about bringing on a team, or I may be expanding my team, or, you know, anything, or tell me a little bit more about, you know, what you've been doing. Be careful. Respond. Don't react. Okay. Don't just start spewing it out. Keep the conversation smooth. But then you can say, hey, you know what? I would love to talk to you more about that. That would be amazing. It'd be, you know, extremely exciting for me to have the chance to work with you. Let's hop on a call and talk about it and get them on the phone. That's where you go next, right? That is going to be number 3 right there. And here's the fun part. Close them with equality. Close them with equality. This is not, I have all the money you need me conversation. It's a partnership. It goes back and forth. You play with it. It's not a one-way interview where they get to ask all the questions and you're just answering. You're interviewing them just as much as they are you to find out if this is a good fit or not. So look, when an influencer asks you questions, don't redirect. Don't do a bunch of redirecting and playing games with people. Talk to them. Have a conversation. Give an answer and then ask your question. Play it. Play the game. It's got to be a back and forth. You've got to do it with equality. They're going to respect it. And if they don't, and they keep pushing, like they need to take control of the interview, okay, now you might need to stand on your position for a minute and show them. Look, some influencers, especially some of the higher level influencers, will do this on purpose to see if they can throw you off your game. They will put up a little bit of resistance to see if you fold. Because if you'll fold under their pressure, why should they trust you to not fold under their prospects? If they can sell you that this is their interview and you are the interviewee, period, and you buy into that and let that happen, it'll probably be the last time they talk to you on the phone. Because they're not going to trust you to be able to hold your positioning strong enough with a prospect who comes at you hard. Right? You got to be able to stand there. There are times, and I've had it happen. This lady had a $25,000 mentorship package, $25,000 to get into her mentorship group. It was all about real estate, diversifying portfolios, and she helped people to where they could get to where they were making, you know, $250K a year. That was her whole slogan: 10x your investment by joining our group, and let me show you how I did this. And she could prove it. She could show you. She was up to around, you know, 350, 400,000 a year off of practically passive income from her properties. And she did exactly this. We got on the phone, we were talking, and she tried to play hardball with me for a minute. You know, I asked her a question. She says, yeah, I'll get to answering your questions. I don't even know if I want you working with me or not. So what else have you done? And how long have you done? And what have you done? And I say, you know what? I'm like you, happy to answer your questions, but I need some answers here as well, because I don't even know if you're a good fit for me to work with either. And unless you can show me that we are, we can go ahead and end the call now and save us both the time. She says, okay, so you're good. Let's talk. And she relaxed, and we were able to have the conversation. A lot of times they want to know, are you going to be able to stay strong talking to their prospects? You guys got to understand. Look, now, this asking for free leads. Say, hey, let me close a couple of your leads for free to show you what I can do. Then if you like the experience, we can move forward. If you're talking to a 2 Comma Club or higher person and you throw that out, most likely they're going to tell you no, because these leads cost them money. There are some people that leads are costing $200, $300, $400 a piece. They need results. They need to know you can hit that 2 out of 10 or better in order to actually perform, in order to give them the ROI that they need. They're not just going to hand you 10 leads. That'd be like handing you almost $10,000 just to see if you can do the work. Doesn't work. Now, you can offer to do outbound calls. Ask them what they do with the leads that didn't close. What type of follow-up do they have for the leads that they've already talked to that did not close? Give me some of them. Let me call them back. Let me do some follow-up. If I can get a couple of them to close, I'll show you that I've got what it takes to do it, right? How much money are you losing at that point? You've already spent the money to get them at a lead. Somebody else already tried to close them and it didn't work out. That's just money sitting there on the table. Let me talk to them for a bit. Give me a list of people that didn't close. Try that instead of asking for free leads and see what they say. Now, again, some of the lower level places that aren't, 2 Comma Club or higher people, you can ask for a couple of free leads because most likely their marketing budget isn't even over $1,000 right now. Anybody that's putting more than $1,000 into their marketing and hasn't hit that $1 million year yet is going under. Just being honest. What I know of ads, what I know of Facebook, what I know, unless they've got a dang good mentor that is laying out the exact ad and process that they need in order to get the attention properly, they're going to spend a lot of money trying to build up a reputation they don't have. So with the smaller ones, you might be able to ask for the free leads, but if this is a higher level influencer, don't do it. You want to talk to them about, calling, doing follow-ups. That's going to work a whole lot better. Once you get them on the phone, stay equal. Make sure you're holding your position. Now, I've got a script specifically for closing influencers that I will share with anybody here who wants it. Shoot up. I've got your email for registry to the webinar, so I'll probably end up sending it out to everybody. And this is a script that, some people that are probably here have used, they've seen. I give it away in my Facebook group as well. Those who are a part of my course already have it. But there's an influencer script as well as a calculation sheet to help you run some numbers. So when you get to that point in the conversation, you already know it, which is part of the equality here. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. Show them that you are on equal with them with the business side of things as well. You show them in the messages, you've got a passion for what they're doing. Then you show them on the call that you understand the business side of things. Know your numbers. All right. If you can talk to them about numbers, about how much their leads cost, what their, cost of retention is, cost of acquisition, either one, both of those actually pertain. If they've got a monthly subscription, there is a cost of retention. What do they have for ad spend? What's their ROI on ad spend? Just know these numbers, know what to ask about. When you can start talking business, they get that you get the back end of this process, that you understand these leads are expensive, you get where they're coming from, you understand business and the sales process. Know your numbers. That builds you up as more of an equal in their eyes. So you hold your position without being arrogant. You ask a question, they ask a question, answer it, ask a question, they're going to answer, ask. Just play the game. Play the game. I'm telling you, when the conversation's going right, you'll enjoy it. It's just a fun little banter back and forth because you both understand what the other's doing. And it's almost a, who's going to win kind of a conversation. And then what that comes down to is who wins is whose commission level gets selected. Theirs or yours. When the conversation's going that nice and going that well, that's how you determine the winner. Are you going to settle and take their 10%, or are you going to get them up to 12 or 15? Right? Play the game. Have fun with it. But I tell you, you're not going to be able to bump the commission level if you don't know your numbers. You got to know your numbers. All right. This is important. You've got to know the numbers. Always. You got to know your numbers, folks. If you don't know these, don't even try to get more commission out of it unless you've got some massive sales experience behind you and you can say, hey, look, I can show you this is what I did last year. I can do this for you. But the majority of the time, the people with that kind of experience, they learned the numbers as they went. And that's why they were able to level up. I know that's one of the things that did it for me. As I was working, starting with that ad agency, setting appointments, I was learning then how much these leads cost coming into me. It was $65 a pop. $65 is what it cost him to send me a lead that I could then talk to. Set that appointment. And for every appointment he closed, I got $250 off of it. That's where I started. Now, as I developed and as I got better and I started understanding things, we made the agreement that I could start trying to close some on my own. And then it became a 2-call close. And then for those, he'd give me 400. It was a start. That's where I started. I make 1,500 a close with what I'm doing right now. Plus I sell my own courses. But I started off at 250, 400. It's a start. When I first started, I was getting 2 closes a week. You know, I'd go a couple of weeks without anything and then get 1 or 2 more. You know, it was very spotty, very back and forth because I was learning, I was growing. You can't expect a 2 Comma Club influencer to keep you on while you're learning the ropes that way, unless they know ahead of time that that's where you're at. Now, if you've come across as some big shot, if you've come across as arrogant, you've reacted instead of responded, and they do give you a chance, and you're 2 weeks before you get your first close, you probably won't be there for long. So if you're going to react and you're going to sell yourself as, you know, being great, you better put up that you're great, because here's the other drawback that you've got. Many of these influencers talk to each other. You burn 1 or 2, you're going to have a hard time finding anything until you can prove yourself. You're going to have to start lowering your standards a bit just to get moving. Now, that's not saying don't shoot for the 2 Comma Club. Don't shoot for the 8-figure award winners. Please do. Go for it. Nothing wrong with it. But be honest with them so they understand what to expect. That way, they can't come back at you saying, wait, you said, and now you're not. You're burning too many of my leads. I can't do it. You got to be honest about it. You want them to be honest with you. You don't want them redirecting all the questions that you're asking. You want answers too. So why not give them the same courtesy? Equality. Close with equality. When you do this, you're going to notice a big difference on the phone call. Now, if you've been on phone calls with influencers before and you've just crashed, either you weren't confident enough with yourself to be able to have the conversation right, or you were so new that you let them put themselves way up here and you couldn't keep the equality. That's what happens. On a closing call, you're the expert. Once you get on the phone with their prospects, you're the expert. That's the way it needs to be. That's appropriate. For a prospect, you need to be the expert. That is right. When you're on the phone with the influencer, you want to respond appropriately. Know your numbers and be an equal, not an expert. They are an expert in their side of things, producing the program, teaching whatever they do, making the product that they sell, whatever it is. You are the expert in your sales field, in closing. They can help them to bring more people in. You both have your expertise. Don't try to hold yourself over them. And any influencer that will not let you keep the equality and keeps pushing to be above you and keeps pushing to be above you, walk away now, because they're probably going to be assholes to work for. Just being honest. I've met a few. Learn your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers and you need to know where to learn your numbers, let's talk. Now, when it comes to closing, when it comes to working online, working from home, working for yourself, mindset is everything. Mindset is going to be extremely important with keeping yourself afloat, with keeping your head in the game, with being able to stay equal, with being able to manage. Napoleon Hill, what he taught and what he said in the beginning of the book, Think and Grow Rich, and if you haven't read the book yet, what?
Joseph McPherson says strategize.
That's right. If you have not read the book, Napoleon Hill, right there, there's one quality which one must possess to win, and that is a definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. A definiteness of purpose and a burning desire to get it, to possess it, to have, to keep. Napoleon Hill's got to be one of the biggest influences on how to make money and stay there that there are. Switch it back. So that quote, I'm going to have to clean that up a little bit later. A definiteness of purpose. What do you want? Where's your mind at? Why are you here right now on this webinar? What's the point? Most of you are here because you want to make a career online, because you want to get into closing full time to either step away from a job or to build something greater without ever having to go in and clock in and let somebody else determine what your hour's worth. Do you have a definiteness of purpose? Do you have that burning desire to possess what you want? Because if you do, then you're going to make decisions. Napoleon Hill also made mention that the wealthy made decisions quickly and changed their minds slowly, where mediocrity made decisions slowly and changed their mind left and right. It's a paraphrase, of course. Being able to make the decision and do it now. Now, here's the funny thing, is that we all want our prospects to be able to do that. We all want the influencer on that call right there to give us an answer now. But are we willing to make the decisions that we need to in order to get there? Are you willing to make the decisions that you need to make in order to get beyond where you are? Because the honest truth is, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting, right? We all know it. We've all been told it. Now, if you're having trouble getting an influencer, if you've had trouble reaching out and having that conversation, I hope what we've went through this evening helps. I will get the email put together this evening and sent out to everybody who signed up that's got that script plus my influencer calculations to be able to help out. I want people to succeed. That's what I do. That's where my passion lies, with helping people grow. Those that have been around me long enough, you know this. You see what I've done. You see what I'm doing. Are you ready to make a decision to take yourself to that next level? It's the only way to grow, is to step out of what you've been doing and into something bigger and better, and to move outside of that comfort zone. We've all heard it, right? We've all heard it. There's you. There's your comfort. Here's everything that you want. It's all outside of that comfort zone. Every bit of it. How far do you want to go? How great do you want to be? You got to be able to move beyond where you're at now in order to get there and expand. We've been taught this before. Many of you learned some of the similar things that I did from the same place. Once your comfort zone gets to a point that it's out here, now the bigger money is still outside. You got to keep going. You got to keep expanding. There's no way around it. It's the only way to get better. It's the only way to go beyond where you're at now is to get outside of that comfort zone and to not sit there. But the only way to get outside of that comfort zone is if you can make a decision. And we've talked about this before in my mindset classes, which, by the way, there's going to be a new Facebook group being put together very shortly that I'm going to be giving my mindset classes in the Facebook group now instead of strictly for the academy. I have a course called Consulting for Closers. This is where I'm teaching people how to understand a funnel and what it does, how to tear apart a webinar and point out to influencers what's off, what you can do to upgrade that, how to check the email sequences and sign up to their funnels. It's a great way to study. When you can go to them and say, hey, I loved in your webinar when you said this. I loved in that second email you sent when you talked about that. They know you've been through the information. That shows you care. That shows you're putting in effort. You're studying. You know the materials. And if you know the materials after the webinar, you know what their prospects are seeing. You can have that conversation better. So if you are closing for somebody right now, I hope you know their process. And I hope you know what it is that the prospects are receiving. Because if you don't, could be why you're having trouble with some of the conversations. If you want to learn how to provide value to influencers in a way that you haven't been taught yet, you want to learn how to be able to tear apart the funnel, tear apart the emails, have the conversation, know the numbers that you need to know, even beyond just what you need to know for closing, and get a full idea of the entire sales process, come give us a look. Make the decision to step up your game. The wealthy know that the best way to make money are MSIs, right? Multiple streams of income. With this consulting idea, with all the information that you've got about the sales process, the funnels, writing scripts, being able to sit down and talk numbers with them that go well beyond commission and well beyond just, return on ad spend. But being able to talk to them about their bottom line outright, being able to talk to them about their cost of acquisition and how much that's going to change if they increase their close rates by just a little bit. If they change their funnel and up that conversion rate by just a little bit, how much is that going to cost? Lower their cost of acquisition. And if you lower the cost of acquisition, that means marketing dollars are stretching. More people are coming in, more money is being made, even if the closing rate stays the same. See, when you learn the art of consulting and you know the sales process from beginning to end, from the start of the funnel at the ad all the way to the close, being able to write a script that works, that your influencer can use even if they don't need you and get paid for it, you set up another stream of income, right? Another stream of income. Not only are you getting income from closing, but now you're also getting income from consulting and working with the influencers that don't have need for a closer yet. They're not ready. How many of those are there out there, right? Seriously, type a 1 in the chat if you've talked to an influencer that's not ready for an influencer or for a closer yet. How many of you guys have talked to these influencers that think they want a closer and they're not ready, right? What if you can help them to get ready? What if you can get paid to do it? What if you can monetize that influencer before you ever start closing? Sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? It's exactly what I've been able to do. It's exactly what I've been teaching people to do for the last month and a half. If there's anybody in here right now that's been through the course up to this point, please feel free to let people know the information, the value that you can add to an influencer for reaching out, for getting them to talk to you, to understand you get their process and help them out, to being able to start the conversation that turns into, you know, hey, I saw this in here. I've seen in the past that, you know, from people that have done it this way instead, it's been able to increase their conversions a little bit. You might want to try that. And just leave it at that. Don't come up, hey, you did this wrong. You need to fix this. This doesn't work anymore. Don't do it that way. You gotta come across equal, right? Hey, this is just a suggestion. I've seen it someplace else. You might want to try it. And if you're right, and they recognize it, they understand it, you've approached it right, they're thinking, okay, you really know what you're talking about. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. How would you do it instead? What more should I do than that? Did you notice anything else going on? Now you've got a conversation that leads to, you know, hey, I can tear apart your entire funnel, you know, $500 and I'll revamp the whole dang thing for you. $1,500 and I can rewrite the whole script to your webinar and make it into something that, you know, I've seen other people be able to make money off of. If you can monetize the influencers who aren't ready, you can start bringing in some income before you land that good gig closing. And then you don't have to come across quite as needy or as desperate to have to get that influencer because you've got a little bit coming in and it's all right. You start a consulting agency and take off with it instead of ever even going into closing. You got to be able to now close the influencer to use your consulting. So that proves to them you've got the value and that you're able to do so. So when you get them ready to need a closer, you're good to go. You can help take them from where they are to where they need you, to where you can then get paid to help them to get there and then get paid to close for them afterwards. And then you know the sales process so well that when you're on the phone with these people, you already know how much they've been primed. You know how much they've been talked up. You know the exact information they've got. Or if they don't, you know exactly where to point them to get it. If you're ready to make a decision and step outside and quit just doing the same old, quit getting the same results that you're tired of and frustrated with, and you want better results, you want to grow into something greater, you want to create another income stream that's going to take you to the next level, then be sure and check out the Consulting for Closers course. Look into it. If anybody on here has mentioned that they are here and that they've been through it, you know, talk to them. Ask them what they think about it. There's absolutely nothing to hide here. The only reason that the course is put to where it's at right now is because I'm trying to help people out. And I'm telling you, the value where it's at right now is only good for the next 50 people or March 1st, whichever comes first. That's it. It's going up. I also give commissions when people refer people in. So if you know other closers that are in your same spot, if you know other people that need this and you bring them to us, you can get it for practically free. I'm paying 50% commission on the current investment level and it's low. You can bring people in right now. You get 2 other closers that need this information to help them build a greater business and build more interest and more wealth in themselves. Build another skill level that can take them beyond where they're at. You've paid yourself back right then and there. So type this out in the chat for them. The link to this, it's HTTPS, right? Then colon, and then 2 forward slashes. consult donstrattonjr.com. I goofed that up in writing. I can't even write my own name today, guys. How horrible is that? Yeah, come learn from me. I can't spell my own name. Makes sense, doesn't it? If you got some value out of this, you can see that I do know what I'm talking about, that I can help you to next level your results, to add an extra stream of income to what you've got coming in right now by offering consulting services on top of closing services and beyond, to be able to have another stream of income by referring other people to it. You see how this adds up? You got whatever you're doing for closing, you've got consulting that you get to add to it, you've got referring people to the consulting program, plus referring people to any other programs that happen to come out later on. You're building multiple streams of income all from one select area. You get to learn from somebody who's been there, who's gone through it, who's helped multiple people to find their own influencers to get to where they're at. You really can't lose. And if you think you can, you might want to check your mindset. Abundance mindset is something that most of us have been taught. The ability to see and feel beyond where you're at into where you will be. It's important. And when you take that belief and you add to it the skills and the training needed to back it up, you can't help but go up. So don't hesitate too long to go check it out. Get involved. Right now, I'm going through live classes. I will be doing one more live run after this one, and then it'll just be videos running. So if you want to be part of the live group, you want to be part of the Q&As afterwards, the bonus closing lessons that end up getting thrown in to most of the sessions, just because it's part of who I am and what I do to the point that I can't help it. Come check it out. Come get joined in. You'll have access to all of the recordings. You'll have access to all of the bonus materials that I give away. You'll have access to being able to share it with other people and make some commission off of it. And you'll have access to all of the live recordings and bonuses that get added to the Consulting for Closers course for life through the entirety. Don't wait too long. I very much appreciate all of you coming out and joining up with me today. I really hope you learned something out of it. I think that if you get started with me now, it's limitless where we can all grow to together and where we can build something greater into. It's limitless where you can go if you just have that desire and that definiteness of purpose of where you want to go, and you can make a decision to put yourself there. The ball's in your court. Do you want to keep getting what you've been getting? Or do you want to grow into something greater? So I'm going to open up for, another 15 minutes or so of Q&A. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free. Ask away. I will answer anything and everything that I'm able to. How many people are here? Should say somewhere.
It does not. Oh, 10.
Okay. All right, well,
Mohammed says, how do we get started with ad agencies? where do we go?
Mm.
Or where do we go find them?
Right. Okay. So finding ad agencies, one of the best places to do it is going to be the ClickFunnels group. You're going to find them in, consulting and coaching groups because they're constantly in there looking for other enrollment coaches, closers, people that they can run ads for. Check in, Kayvon has a closing group that people post closing opportunities in. The Live Rich Academy, they've got their own group that people post closing opportunities in. You can find them all over the place. Don't hesitate to get involved in other Facebook groups where closers hang out, because that's also where influencers are going to look for them. If you get into any of these groups and just do a search for closer, do a search for agency, and it'll pull up all of the posts that people have put on there with those words in them, and you can scroll through and see all the places that are looking for closers. And let me tell you this as well, if you see one that was posted last month, still reach out, because man, a lot of this market, there's all sorts of rotation in. People are in, people are out, people hang around, people are gone. Still message them. Don't hesitate to reach out. Now, when they have asked for a closer, when an influencer has went into a Facebook group and asked for a closer, now the conversation can change just a little bit. Still don't go in there trying to, sell yourself, but you don't have to play it off quite as, nonchalantly either. You can go in with the, hey, I saw in this group that you're looking. Have you found a qualified closer yet? Something that simple. Don't go in there, hey, I heard you were looking for closers. I'm a closer. When do you want me to start? Not going to work. Don't just send them a stupid two-word message, I'm a closer, and nothing more. Don't send them a message, hey, I'm a closer, we should talk, when can we call? Don't. You're a closer. You should know better than to just go straight to the money in the first conversation or in the first 5 minutes of the conversation. It's not the way it works. Let them know, hey, I saw in here you were looking. Have you found anybody yet? No? Cool. Maybe I'd be a good fit for you. Would you be all right having a conversation about that? If they try to ask a bunch of questions on Messenger, tell them, look, you know what? I get it. You're busy. I'm busy. When would be a good time to talk? Because just sending messages back and forth is going to take a lot longer than if we just got on the phone and talked for 10 minutes. That's one of the easiest ways to get an influencer on the phone. Look, it's going to take longer to sit here and type messages back and forth than what it would be if we just jump on a 10-minute call, ask a couple of questions, find out if we want to move forward or not. It's that simple. Time is important. They know that. They don't want to waste it. You don't want to waste it. Point out the time factor if they're having trouble getting them to a call and they keep on, well, no, I don't want to talk to you unless you answer this, this, or this. Hey, look, man, it's going to take more time for me to type all these answers out than it would be for us to just jump on a dang 10-minute call to talk about it. If they still won't, probably not worth working with them anyways. They're probably going to be jerks. Just saying. If they're that type of a hard ass over something that simple, what do you think they're going to be like if you're not getting the results that they feel you should be getting? You want to work with somebody who's got a heart. Yep.
Joseph McPherson says, how do you convince men that are strong, influential men to realize that they could be more than they believe themselves to be?
A very long and well-written conversation. You've got to speak towards their logic. You've got to help them to slowly come around to seeing it little by little. If they're already strong, see, now I forget who it was, and I should have wrote this one down too. Being able to grow your business, grow in wealth, grow in closing, takes a certain and specific level of confidence. Too much confidence, and you don't think you need to learn anything more. Too little confidence, and you won't be able to stand up to a prospect anyway. It's got to be the right level of confidence. When you've got somebody who's that strong and influential in and of themselves, their confidence is over. It's too far, so they don't believe they need anything. Now, getting them to see that they might is a lengthy process. It's not something you sit down in one conversation and get done. That is a, slow, hey, have you ever thought about this? Plant the seed. Hey, have you ever realized that the people that are, doing more or growing are constantly, reading more books all the time? I've heard that. Have you heard that before? Have you heard that the, consistent learning, consistent growing helps in all aspects of life, not just business? Just little hints here and there to plant the seed. Lead by example. Show them that you're willing to learn as well and that you are trying to level up yourself. Let them see the books you're reading. Let them see the work ethic you've got and whatever it is that you're doing. Let them see that you are trying to level up as well. That will help them to also see that maybe there's something to this. Stay steadfast with what they're doing. Don't try to come across with, hey, no, look, you need to listen to me. Here's what's wrong. Here's what's going on. Here's why it is. Now you come across as, dad to son. That is not going to go over well. Anybody who's got teenagers knows it. It does not work when you come at it that way. It just doesn't.
Anyone who's ever been a teenager knows it.
Think about it from the other way. Exactly. When you were younger, when your parents came to you that way, hey, I'm right. They may have been, but because they came at it that way, you didn't care. So you got to ease into it. You got to have the conversation. You got to allow time for it to sink in. That's a big one. That's not something that could be solved, in a Q&A right here. Anything else? So if we don't get any more questions here soon, then we will probably go ahead and cut out. Check us out if you haven't already. Look into it. I'm telling you, it's an opportunity that's not going to come back once those first 50 get in or once Mars first hits. The price is going up. It's got to. There's too much value there for me to leave it where it's at. So don't look back now. How many of you considered the Live Rich Academy and could have gotten in at one investment level and then boom, now it's way up here and you couldn't even get started? Look at the other place that we went to and the hike in investment level that took. You don't want to do that. Make the decision to be something greater. All right.
There's no more questions.
All right. I will get the recording of this posted someplace where I can get it back to folks. What?
Joseph says, thank you, Don and Don Jr. Jr. Good job.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, his name's Jack, by the way. So, yeah, he definitely did great. I appreciate the help. I wouldn't have been able to do this the way that I was able to tonight without it. So glad for it, especially for a live webinar.
Yeah, no problem. And everybody else likes it. I can come back if this is easier.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see if I can get better at using the whiteboard or not. I don't know what the heck I did there, but that's on there now. Either way, thanks again. I appreciate it. Y'all have fun. And I will get the replay link sent out to everybody who signed up. So y'all have a great evening. Thank you much.